Of course, for days now, there has been issues surrounding the political standoff in Rivers State, the WIKE and FUBARA rift, and understanding how subnational governments can be able to breathe in spite of the Godfatherism factor and, of course, the powers allocated to the center, even though we're on a federal system of government. And that's why we're about today looking at the need for us to see how constitutional provisions could spell out legal boundaries, that governors can, take charge of their state without undue influence from the center or undue influence from, in quote, godfathers. And looking about what has transpired so far, as regards even the Martins Amawale-led state, House of Assembly, Rivers State, issued 48 hours ultimatum to Governor Fubara to present the budget 2025. And of course, the drama that took place, and even the governor saying, quoting Philippians 3:18, where he said, the enemies of Christ do love things that pertain to the earth, and they are only after their belly. And looking at what he said as in that regard, some have said, well, this also goes a long way to deepen the rift, even as we've seen some war of words, between the Martins Amawale-led State House of Assembly and, of course, the governor. Just as Martins Amawale also said that the governor runs a gang of criminals that he calls political appointees. Well, discussing this and the ripple effect it has on our subnational governments and how we can ensure that democracy is intact comparatively with what is being practiced in developed polities, starting from my extreme left, I have a legal practitioner. By that we mean custodian of the law, and he is Sunday Daudo. Thanks for coming, Sunday.
Thank you very much.
And next to Sunday Daudo is a political scientist, and of course he is also a policy analyst, Shedrack Dubai.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Mr. Philip.
Well, if we're able to have established connectivity, we will be joined by Damisa Itote from Abuja via Zoom. I don't know if we can do that. Good morning, Damisa.
I'm here. I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
Good to have you join, Damisa. And how is Abuja today?
Thank you so much. Abuja is bright and beautiful.
Great. Also, we'll be joined as the show progresses by the former local government chairman in Rivers State, and as we're able to get that, we will bring that to you. Well, let's quickly look at what is happening so far, starting with you, Sunday Daudo. A lot has been happening in Rivers State, and I know you've been following the trend, but some have said, well, looking at Godfatherism and the power play that has been on Rivers State, what do you make out of this? And of course, the issuance of an ultimatum to the governor of Rivers State. Some have said it is very, very uncommon in democracy in Nigeria to see such a root shock happening in Rivers State, and someone that it shouldn't, have repose effect that will generate negative trends in other subnationals. What do you take out of this?
Well, let me say quickly that the ultimatum issued is flowing from the rift, which shows that all is not well in Rivers State. But let me take the questions the way they were asked. Issue of Godfatherism is inherent in politics. There's Godfatherism, there's no doubt about that.
Do you have it stated in the constitutions?
No, it's conventional.
It's conventional.
It's a practice. Fubara is a product of Godfatherism. WIKE himself is a product of Godfatherism. In politics, there must be somebody who will speak for you. In terms of people positions, somebody must be there who says, give this position to this Mr. A. If you look at the trajectory of Fubara, Fubara was a civil servant, he was not a politician. He was in the accounting session, the man promoted him to become the chief accountant. From there, he made him accountant general of the state.
Yeah.
From there, he picked him to be governor. That is a product of Godfatherism without more. It's a product of Godfatherism. He even went argued further that he didn't buy form. Fubara did not buy the governorship form. He bought it for him and used this resources to fund him. Didn't spend his own money. So that is simply Godfatherism. Now the question is that more often than not, when people climb on top of others to become whoever they are, the tendency of throwing away the thrower or throwing away the ladder with which they climb is inherent also in politics. But what I must argue here is that the diplomacy that was not applied by FUBARA in handling the seemingly issues that crop up between him and his godfather. It cannot be denied that WIKE is the godfather to FUBARA. It can't be denied. FUBARA cannot even deny it. Even his ethnic extraction can't deny it. He's his godfather.
Okay.
But the question now is that we're able to handle that relationship of godfather and godson. That is where the issues lack. Now, FUBARA himself, from what I have seen, was willing to accept a tranche brokered between him and the godfather by the president. But some forces now start rising up and say, you are a governor. How can you listen to? They want to arrest you. He never accepted. He started implementing them. But he got some statements from other. No, we are governor. He has done his governor. We want to be controlling you. The man now fall prey. That is the struggle he has engulfed himself with. Ordinarily, he would have enjoyed his governorship and all of that. Now, let me also put it differently. That yes, WIKE factor is there, but the problem he has is the House of Assembly. It's not WIKE himself. We must agree that there is a tripartite formulations of the organs of government. The judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, they are tripartite. And the doctrines of separation of power is entrenched in the Constitution by virtue of Section 4, 5, and 6. Now, when you look at the issues that are actually happening there, is the governor usurping or interfering with the legislative arm of government? What is the issue? When the speaker, Awoliche or Awolu, removed the ADC here as majority leader, when the House removed him, is what brought this issue. The governor left his governorship, executive arm, and stormed the House of Assembly. That was interference, to say the truth. He stormed the House of Assembly. What he would have waited for them to do whatever they want to do. He will now invite them to executive session to discuss what was the issue in the House of Assembly. He went there with protected and stormed the place and questioned why should the executive arm of government remove the ADC. That it was a plot to impeach him. Preemptive actions. If you had allowed it to slide, because there was a problem, they reconciled, that would have been no. Apart from that, he went further to demolish the House of Assembly. Executive arm of government.
But don't forget, it didn't start there.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you,
it didn't start there.
No, I'm telling you the events that unfold to lead to this, which would have been diplomatically handled. He stormed the place to the extent that he presented his budget 2024 to 4 members and made Ehi by himself a speaker. If he was also strong enough, he would not have removed Ehi from the House. Since he had made him a speaker, he would have remained a speaker. He also pulled him out. Somebody will say, yeah, it's your speaker. He pulled him out to become chief of staff, who is now their speaker. At the time they pulled him out as speaker, because they were 2 factional speakers now, Ehi and Awelu. You don't have 2 speakers. He now pulled the person who he claimed to be speaker and make him chief of staff as we speak. Now, because of the wrangling, he wasn't now listening to all those people. The people now felt that, well, this is a good time to have a showdown with the governor. Now, the showdown lead to what they purportedly said was a defection from one political party to another. Now, the question that was there is that the provisions of the Constitution, Section 109, did not even use the word defection. So, defection is inferred from the actions of members of the House of Assembly or members of members. Defection is not used in the Constitution. What the Constitution contemplates for the purpose of losing your seat in the House of Assembly is becoming a member of another political party. It didn't use the word defection. And how do you now prove that you are a member of another political party? You can only prove that somebody is a member of a political party by tendering his ID card or party card or a register of the party
Not even from the state level, not even local government level. It must be at the world level, where he was issued a party card that is now a member of ABC party. If it is not, mere defection without more cannot be substantiated by the constitution, because the constitution doesn't use just defection. The constitution says that you have become a member of a political party. Now let me also go further. The mere fact that you are even a member of another political party is not automatic that you have lost your seat, but the provision of the constitution. The constitution also gave the Speaker of the House to give effect to that movement. What that means is that it is the Speaker who will now declare his seat vacant. If the Speaker didn't declare his seat vacant, even if he's a member of a political party, he remains a member. That is subsection 2 of 109 of the Constitution. So you may have defected, you may even be a member of another political party, prove that you have a card. The Speaker has to declare your seat vacant. So if the Speaker doesn't give effect to your defection, you remain a member. Now the question now is that who gives effect when the Speaker himself defected? The Speaker defected with his members. We don't have it on record, sir, that Awele was impeached as a member of the House. With record showing the number of persons who signed his impeachment, that he was no longer a Speaker. So who could have given effect to his defection? Nobody. Okay. Because he defected with his status as Speaker, and as we speak, there are no records, even in the court, with due respect, that there is a signatory of about 20-something or 30 persons who impeached him. Those number now elected another person as Speaker, who will now give effect to declare the seat of the 24 or 27 member vacant. So he defected with his status as a Speaker. So nobody will give effect to it. So it therefore means that as we speak, even if he defected, effect has not been given to it, because you cannot. It's not a double housing house where somebody will just wake up from another and say, I'm now Speaker. Who elected you? How many members elected you? At what point did you impeach the other one? Okay, how many members impeach him?
Let's get it.
These are technical issues.
Okay. Let's get the thoughts of Shedra, because we've seen this political wrangling. Yes. And like I asked him, I told him that it didn't start there, because all of this drift is coming from who calls the shot, or who should be seen as calling the shot, or even if you know that yes, that I'm a godfather to you, but to what extent should you give, the treasury of the state to a godfather? I don't know how he played that anyways, but there seems to be an undue influence, from the predecessor on the successor. So what do you see of this nature? Because do you see it as disturbing service delivery and the structure of governance?
For me, it's not just disturb. For good governance in the River State is on holidays. There's nothing practically happening. Ordinarily, people will say, people have taken sides. Some will say they are pro-Wike, some will say they are Fabara. Virtually, majorly all progressive Congress members, APC members, they are with Wike. The ones from PDP who are staunch members, they are saying they are with Fubara. But I do not inherit political enemies on the basis of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or the enemy of my friend is my enemy, all of those rubbish. Of course, when you say enemy, it's not as a real-life enemy as the Bible puts it. As a Christian, you're not supposed to have enemies. But in politics, because it's a zero-sum game, because your failure is somebody's victory, and your victory is somebody's failure, so you tend to see the other persons as your enemies politically. So, in the choice of political friends or enemies, on the basis of my own personal beliefs and values, and the tenets of democracy, and the fundamentals of good governance. I've looked at this issue clearly, and I've seen Wike, I've seen Fubara, and two of them have erred graciously. But first, who erred was Fubara, because the truth is that you are a product of political godfatherism. You cannot inherit the assets and want to refuse the liability. Because the man practically had not known the ropes of government. He has practically been nowhere. He had practically came from obscurity. A man who had never been asked for member, never been local chairman, never been councillor, never been anything political in his life. Because he was the one in charge of the treasury of the state, Wike used him to perpetrate some form of political criminality in appropriation of funds, diversion. Even at that point, EFC was looking for him before he became governor.
Used him.
Yes, they used him as Attorney General of the state, was being used to siphon state resources. And because Wike saw that we cannot leave this man, if you leave this man, EFC will take this man and use him to fight me. He quickly made the man a governor. That's how the man came into office. Whether it was a PDP man or APC man, that's their business. The man came into office. And he came into office. The problem I have with people is that so people believe that you can be a politician and be a fool. No politician is foolish. No matter how dull or ignorant the person is, the minute he accesses power, he becomes a leader, he becomes a master. You know one thing, I've seen this thing play out, it's not just in River State, does he play out in different states? It has never been this serious. Is this serious now? Because it's not just a fight between a sitting governor and a past governor. It's like a fight between two sitting governors. Because Wike is governor of Abuja, this one is governor of River State. And you know, one was formerly governor of River State, went into big governor of the FCT, became more powerful and more strong. That's why the battle has lingered on. Because see, people don't follow leaders in Nigeria, people follow the money. Because Wike is still financially buoyant and strong. That's why those 27 members to go and sit down with him in Abuja and we are appropriating contracts to them, be paying them. As I have told you, I have got a good record. Wike, all the commissioners that defended, Wike still puts them in his payroll, he's still servicing them. Okay. It's because the money is available. That's why this fight is hot and boiling. And that's why it will boil to the end. As long as Wike remains minister of the FCT, and this one because governor of FCT, governor of River State, the fight will linger.
I want an explanation from you because you made a statement like that I would call an allegation. Okay. That Nyesom Wike used them to siphon the treasury.
No, now, okay,
I know you. There are no charges in court.
I know that, but whether you like it or not, what was the basis? You know, when people bring people for office, they bring people for us on the basis of say zoning, equity, fairness, and justice. Maybe I'm from Edo South, bring somebody from Edo Central. That's one of the criteria. Okay. Another criteria is maybe this man has the political clout. He has the capacity to muzzle his way. Perhaps they looked at the opposition that if you bring this kind of weak candidate, you may lose, and you want to bring somebody that is sound. Or they will not say, oh, this man has the requisite competence and character. This man is intellectually sound. This man has prepared himself. This man understands the trajectory of my governance. And we're able to take the people to the promised land that I have envisaged for them. It is on those basis people are brought to become governor. Okay. People don't fall from the sky. But the idea of just bringing, for me, I've looked at the three parameters. FUBARA didn't meet any of them. It just became governor because it was closer. But what is most important in all of this quagmire, especially our first Nigerian politics, is that the people do not know what democracy is. First of all, there's issue of too much resources at the disposal of every governor. That is what has been a bedrock of this problem. A governor who sits, why do you think that everybody who was formerly governor of River State has contested for presidency? It's because of the availability of resources. A governor who sits over a budget of 800 billion every year. A governor who generates IGRO of 172 billion every year. With the money, fair enough, and the man receives security votes. So aside this money, security vote that comes for a state governor is within the ambit of 500 million to 1 billion naira monthly, and is delivered in cash. The highest person, to my own knowledge, the person who receives the highest security vote in Nigeria is Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, and he receives $1 billion in cash. Okay. If 1 billion naira comes to a man, irrespective. No, I'm trying to give you the premises to this. Yes. If 1 billion naira comes to a man like Shedaku Dubai, in cash, they don't send it through accounts. They bring it in bags and lorry load, and I put it in governments and I begin to share it. I begin to, who will challenge me that even if you give it to Shedaku Dubai now, a non-state actor, because it would have mattered so much if they are giving that money to some other governors or mayors in other climes, like in the US and America, where the people are doing well for themselves, where they have access to basic amenities, where people are rich, at least they are not strong. But we bring it to a country like Nigeria, where there's pervasive poverty and hunger, where people cannot think beyond the plate of rice and beans. People struggle, people share palliative and people die in their numbers. So with that kind of huge resources, is a huge problem to Nigerian democracy. That when there is abject poverty, some few people have unfettered access to humongous resources. That's one of the major problems.
We've seen these circles play out in politics, and we keep saying that in as much as you've had your time as a governor, then allow others to also have their time. And we look at the common patrimony that belongs to the people, the treasury of the state. To what extent can you say because you have a godfather, then you allow the godfather to take over everything that has to do with the common patrimony of the people? Now we look at the revenues that is being generated or that is accrued to River State. Who takes charge of it? Shouldn't the godfather allow the successor to breathe and have a fair way of taking charge of his state? Let's get your thoughts on this, Davmisa.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Philip, and good morning once again, Nigeria. For me, it's rather depressing that we are discussing two characters. We should be discussing governance. We should be discussing the advancement of our people. We should be discussing the plenitude plight of River State people, and not two individuals. Because governance is about institutions and not just men, and not just individuals. Now, for me, in answering your question, I will look at the average Nigerian, or more specifically, in River State politics, there appears to be a character problem. Because in River State, it is on record that there is always a successor predecessor rift, at least since the advent of the Fourth Republic. The successor will always have problem with the predecessor and, of course, vice versa. So, in my view, I believe leadership is a combination of two factors: the character factor and the strategy factor. Now, if you must be without one, it should be strategy. Be without strategy, then you must have character. Because if you have character, every other thing will naturally fall into place. Now, you asked me a blanket question as to the treasury of Rivers State. I must tell you categorically that you and I can only answer a guess. You can only answer a guess as to the truism or otherwise of what is actually happening between Governor Fubara and Mr. Wike. You and I cannot really tell. It may not even be connected to treasury. It may not be connected because politicians always enter into a series of agreements, both verbal and written and otherwise. So it may be all connected to the treasury of Rivers State. Don't be surprised that it has minute as something that is very inconsequential between the two of them. So I do not want to believe that it has to do with the treasury of Rivers State. I do not want to believe that. Because as far as I'm concerned, the treasury of Rivers State does not even belong to Governor Fubara. The treasury of Rivers or the resources of Rivers State does not belong to Governor Wike or former Governor Wike. It's for the Rivers State people. And it should be used for the development of Rivers State. So, but in a more direct, response to your question, whoever that is in charge directs and dictates the pace at which the resources should be used. So, in that wise or in that guise, Governor Fubara should be allowed to use the resources of Rivers State for Rivers people, because character is lacking on both sides. That is the truth. On both sides, character is lacking. When I mean character, I'm talking about progressive character. It's lacking. Because if you critically look at the issues that is happening in Rivers, you discover that governance has taken a vast thing. I'm aware, from the media that the governor is doing a lot of things in Rivers. But it is being downplayed. People are not talking about the development that is ongoing in Rivers or otherwise. But I don't know, we are discussing characters. We are discussing two individuals. Now, local government chairman have been ordered to go back in obedience to the Supreme Court judgment. As I speak today, as this morning, the third day of governance is grounded in Rivers State. Are the issues we should be discussing. And that is why on this program and several fora, I always state one thing, that look, our institutions should be manned by genuine men, by men of integrity, and not just strong men. And that is why I like to quote Barack Obama, that the problem of Africa, and indeed Nigeria, is that our institutions are being manned by strong men. So we have strong men and weak institutions. That is the bane of our democracy in Africa and indeed Nigeria. So we must begin to reinvent ourselves. We must begin to orientate ourselves that the institution of governance should be adequately annexed, should be solidified, should be made formidable to deliver the dividends of democracy. And luckily enough, fortunately enough, the dividends of democracy in this part of the world are so simplistic. What do you need to do as a governor? We're not even looking at policy. Don't espouse any philosophical policy. Don't even go there, because we are not there yet. What do you need to do? Construct roads, provide water, health care, and advanced education. Infrastructure, health care, advancement of education, and of course security. These are basic. These are basic, principles in democracy that you should do. So we are still at the lowest bar in terms of the practice of democracy in this part of the world. So if you can provide these four basic issues, or basic amenities, or basic factors in governance, then It will be celebrated. But you will understand that we are still struggling. We are still struggling to meet this thing, because why? We have strong men who are rapacious in the picking of our collective patrimony.
Yeah, Damisa, let me ask you this vital question. Let me ask you this vital question now. In 1 minute, I need your response to it. Now, let's look at if there are existing provisions from the Constitution that can protect the governor from external influence in order to protect it, because you agree with me that there are threats of impeachment of the governor.
There are plethora provisions. Section 300 is very germane with respect to immunity of a governor. There are provisions for the removal of a governor. You only establish, so you cannot just wake up and remove a governor. There are procedures to be followed. And ultimately, the courts are also there to protect, any elected officer in our constitution. So the governor is highly protected. What about those other issues that they are saying? Nobody wakes up one day to impeach a governor. It's like the removal of a speaker. You must follow due process. In fact, all the arms of government are involved in the removal of a governor, because the chief judge of the state must perform his constitutional role of empowering 7 members of integrity, 7 wise men, to checkmate whatever allegation that is being laid against the governor. And if the panel sits and recommend, so the governor is highly protected. It needs to have, or for any governor, all you need to have is to not have character to discharge, your functions. As simple as that. So without external influence, you are highly protected against external influence. In fact, collectively in Nigeria, the governors are more powerful than the sitting president. If they come together, they are more powerful. So the governor is a powerful person, is a powerful individual in the state because he controls the resources. No president has land in Nigeria. And the custodians of our land, of our resources, of the governor.
Thank you, Damisa. I'll come back to you.
Now, we are looking at how to strengthen subnational governments. And I still ask you the same question, because irrespective of the fact that we understand that, yes, the governor has immunity, but what's playing out in Rivers State shows that, to some extent, we are asking this question: does state really have autonomy? Looking at the undue influence it has from the center. And some have said even the judgment is held sway by virtue of political undercurrents. I don't know how you react to that. And of course, the impeachment threat. Do you see any possibility that it could fly?
Well, let me state clearly that the argument that the center has an influence on what is happening in Rivers State is not correct. We must look at what does the law says. Now let's look at the issue of appropriation. Appropriation is an act. It must be a law stating how the resources of a state should be utilized. What it therefore means is that the resources of the state cannot be deployed without an act enabling same. You cannot appropriate, you cannot use. When they say, allow FUBARA to use the resources of the state for the people of the state, the money is made for the state, it's not stating the obvious. The law is that before you appropriate resources, before you deploy resources, there must be an act enabling the governor to so do. And that appropriation will be enacted by the House of Assembly. And if the court has said that the House of Assembly recognized, as we speak, is the one led by Amele, the Speaker, you cannot constitute a parallel House of Assembly. I think we should follow the rule of law. That is what the law says. If the court has said that this is the House of Assembly, and you didn't present resources or the bill for an act for budgetary allocations, you cannot be talking about resources being utilized for the people. Agreed is the resources for the people, but who deploys them is the governor. So that issue that the state, the federal government or the center has influence on what's happening in the university is not so.
Okay, but let's look at now, the possible impeachment threat. Now, because it has been said that he's given 48 hours to present a budget.
I will address that.
If he so do otherwise, does it mean that he has grossly done an act that could lead to impeachment?
No, he has committed impeachable offenses, but that's not what I'm going to. I believe strongly that flowing from the judgment of the Supreme Court, there would have been a form of reconciliation between the House of Assembly and the governor. And the governor, as people have said, he has the power. I agree with him that it's character issue. He has the power to reconcile with the 27 members. He has what it takes. If he even hinge, if we now have to go by influence, that the center has influence, if he hinge on the president to talk to the members, 27 members of the House of Assembly, the president will talk to them and they can reconcile. Let me go to the ultimatum. I think the ultimatum is hasty.
It's hasty, you agree with that?
Yes. For you to give the governor 48 hours to present a budget. Budgetary presentations have some dynamics, which include the MDAs, ministries, to prepare their own budget. Budget for agriculture, education, health. Everybody will submit their budgets. And this budget will now be looked at as an executive session between the governor and members of the House of Assembly. The reason for this is to ensure that the House of Assembly also feel that their constituents, or constituencies as they were, are captured in the budget submitted by the MDAs. When the executive session have looked at it, it is taken back to the executive council, not executive session now. Executive session is made up of the governor, that is the executive, and the legislature. Now, when the executive session have harmonized, it's taken back to the executive council for approval. It is when the executive council have approved it before it's submitted to the House of Assembly for legislative input.
Okay.
So that process cannot be 48 hours.
So you see that as a way of
because of the rift.
Person of the
it's because of the rift. Okay. 48 hours is not enough for a budget to be presented.
Okay. Are there stated provisions of the Constitution to raise
yes,
claims?
these procedures are there. Okay. As I said, the procedures are there. You cannot just bring a budget. Maybe a budget of 1 billion, 2 billion, or 800 or something billion.
800 billion. 800
or
billion.
Or go to trillion rivers. You say bring it tomorrow, and you will. No. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
It's an attempt to escalate the issue.
You cannot. Okay. Now, the issue of impeachment, whether or not the governor has committed impeachable offenses, yes. Yes. First, the failure to present the 2024 budget to the House of Assembly is impeachable offenses. That's one. Two, the evasion of the governor in the House of Assembly is an impeachable offense. That is two. Three, the demolition of the House of Assembly is an impeachable offense.
But all this can be resolved.
They can be resolved. No, they can be resolved.
No,
I'm not against.
Because we are all that.
I'm in favor of resolution
and allow resolutions to take.
I'm in favor of resolution. Okay. I do not want the crisis to escalate more than this. That's why I said, flowing from the Supreme Court judgment, I would have expected that it's a time to broker peace between both parties. And as I said, the person who should initiate it is the governor. He's the person in helm of affairs. He's the person that is being worried as we speak. It's his government that is being disturbed. If I were him, as I have mentioned in Sofura, I said there was a book I read by Oliver Goldsmith, Stoop to Conquer. You stoop low and you conquer your enemies.
Okay.
But he is unable to bring that into governance. All right. So that at the end of the day, he will have his way. Government, you see, when lawyers go to court, it doesn't matter the English you speak. It is how you are able to use the instrumentality of the law to free your client, either a criminal or it's what matters. It's not your shout when you go to the police station, you are shouting at the police. I'm a lawyer. That will not work.
Let's see what lessons have been learned here from what has transpired. What are the lessons you see other governors must have learned from this? And of course, the state houses of assembly. And most especially as it pertains to the threats of impeachment. And of course, all that pertains to the people of the state. We understand the huge, humongous amount that will be stopped because of this issue. And that, again, will bring a lot of challenges. So what do you see
for me,
as the lessons?
For me, when I tell people how you come into office is just as important as being in office. And the idea of issue of political rift, I don't see this thing coming. To be honest with you, I don't see this thing coming. There's no point for reconciliation for me. What is obvious that one will go down That Wike goes
no
down.
point for
No, there's no. I'm not seeing a point. There's there's a reason for the reconciliation.
It's gone past the stage.
No, it has gone beyond the stage because all I see that one person goes down on or before 2027 or at 2027 general election. Because the truth is this: as they are fighting, and you know what's important that people are not taking attention to, is that there's a group of people that is enjoying the craft. Some people are profiting for it. And who are they? They are the politicians. Wike now is spending undue money to patronize his followers in Rivers to ensure that he remains with him. FUBARA now is deploying humongous resources on those people who tell him that we love you. So while governance is on standstill, good governance is on holiday, the politicians are cashing out. New billionaires are made on a daily basis because FUBARA now has to deploy resources to ensure that his followers will not go the other way. Wike now has to deploy resources. So that is, and as long as the politicians are having a field day, you can be rest assured that good governance is gone. See, let me explain to you. All these are happening because the people do not understand who they are. It's a shame. Across Nigeria, an average Nigerian has very poor political education. First of all, if you think about how did government come into being, it was the citizens that came to the office of the citizen is the highest office in the land. It was the citizens who gathered together and said, let us draft a constitution. It was not the government that gave us a constitution. It was the constitution that gave us a government.
You're talking about the theory of the state.
No, that's where we started from. It's the citizens who sat down and said they put a constitution together, and that constitution they stated this and this for someone to call governor. So when the citizen now stays and the governor now holds the people to ransom.
But in the case, what can they do when they've already given their powers to the government function?
First of all, when
their powers to the constituents.
When they give power to these people, because first of all they deify the governors. We carry this mentality of our primordial era of seeing the governor as an Oba. Without no recompense to Oba Benin anyway, just a general Oba. They see the Oba, they see him as a god. They see the leaders as an Oba. An average Nigerian sees his leader as an Oba. So there's what called a deification of those people in power. It's not just with the traditional sector, it's even in the religious sector. An average pastor is seen as God on earth.
Okay, but
and people tend to worship him. The citizens,
giving their powers to them.
The citizens see those representatives as God and not people whom they are sent messages. If you send somebody a message to represent you, if you are told somebody to represent you, I say, go and speak for me. There's a way and manner people will relate. And when somebody becomes your God, the way and manner people relate is another level entirely. All these things happen because there's weak political structures. There's weak party structures. People do not understand their roles. There's weak opposition. There's weak judiciary. There are institutions that are weak from the ambit of the people that have necessitated people to become gladiators, leaders and masters, principalities within the political structure to the detriment of the people.
Let's get to you, Damisa Itote. Let's take your final remarks on this, looking at the way to strengthen subnational government from what has transpired in Rivers State.
But for me, to strengthen the second tier of government in Nigeria, those in those positions must understand that true leaders know that leadership is not about them and that it is about the people. They must also know that power is transcendent. That in your actions or inactions, power is transcendent. It's either power leaves you or you leave power. Service and selflessness are the core principle in leadership. So we must understand that concept very clearly. That you have a mandate of 4 years or maximum at most 8 years. Within those time frame, within that time frame, what efforts can you do to ameliorate the plight of your people? So when you acknowledge these facts, you tend to take decisions that will leave legacy behind for the people to always talk about you. That is the only way we can strengthen it. Then our institutions, like I said earlier, must be strengthened to checkmate the individual. But sadly, it reverse this case. Rather, we have strong men who are strengthening, quote and unquote, the institution to their whims and caprices. So, Mr. Philip, clearly, our state must be strengthened if the dividend of democracy is to be given to established institutions, formidable institutions, people with character, people with integrity, competent people must man our various state government houses. It's the only way we can move forward as a people.
Thank you so much, Damisa Itote, a legal practitioner, joined us via Zoom, and I wish you a beautiful day ahead of you. Big thanks.
Well, let's get your final thoughts on strengthening subnational government via this.
Well, the three institutions that make up the state, which are the subnationals now, is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The problem we have is the executive interfering with the two organs of government. That's what, it's not the presidency, it's not CETA. It's not the central government that is weakening the subnationals. It is subnationals themselves.
Oh.
For instance, the executive arm of government want to dominate and control the legislature. They want to control the judiciary. Then you are weakening them.
But don't forget the undue influence.
No, the undue influence.
The external influence.
No, the undue influence.
The Godfatherism factor.
Now, let me tell you, sir.
Are you playing down on it?
No. Let me tell you, sir. If the subnationals hold their states and allow the institution to run by themselves, there will be no problem. For instance, you have a situations where a governor says, I will swear in a judge in the judiciary. He won't swear to it till he leaves office. Have you not weakened that arm of government? A man said the House of Assembly will not work until I allow them to work. It's who I want to be speaker that will be speaker. You are weakening it. It's not the central that is weakening you. Exactly. So it's a problem. Now for you to now do that, you now bring a humongous amount of money to bribe some persons. Okay. For it happened in the state, in the state here. Some members of the House of Assembly were not sworn in. A governor insisted on it. When they wanted to forcibly enter the place, he went to put strip of sand, stones, granites to block the entrance and demolish the place. They say it was politics because they wanted to impeach him. He was protecting himself. He did it to the judiciary. 8 judges were not sworn in. Until pressure. He now took 5 out of them. It's the subnationals that are weakening their own institutions. That is what is now leading to the interference, because the constitution guaranteed the subnationals. When they are now being abused, the tendency of the federal government to protect the constitution now comes in. Okay. So it's not issue of the institutions are there.
Well, don't forget, these are intrigues. These are intrigues in politics.
The executive,
and so everyone seems to be doing survival of the fittest.
Yes, for instance,
when the executive seems to be threatened by the legislature.
Employment in the judiciary ought to be done by the judiciary, because there's a judicial service commission. But the governor will determine whether or not to employ in the judiciary. Okay. Now, in the House of Assembly, they have a House of Assembly Service Commission. The government want to dictate. Okay. So these are you are weakening those institutions. You don't allow them to stay. Then the problem will come in, and when people comes in, everybody will now know who he relies on.
So there's need for due diligence.
There's need for due diligence. Okay. Ensure that these institutions are the way functions the way they are. There is actually a point of convergence.
Okay, thank you.
That is admitted.
Thank you.
There's a point of convergence which must at all time be driven by the governor. Okay. So that at all time, the 3 arms of government will pursue the same goal.
Your closing remarks on this as we look at strengthening subnationals.
When you think of strengthening subnational, people speak of institutions. But I've come to see that it's beyond institutions. People should strengthen citizens. Oh. Because the citizens that control democracy. Once the citizens are ignorant, citizens don't know their rights, citizens don't know what the people they elected ought to do for them, this same thing will repeat itself over and over again. Are you aware that in the doctrine of separation of power, that the legislative arm of government is senior to the executive arm? But today, the executive arm of government is feeding from the arms of the executive arm of government, because those ones have reduced it's like an elder brother serving the younger brother. That's what we say every single time. It's the same everywhere. Tinubu tells who becomes speaker, becomes the president of Senate. The state governors, the stamming of those things. It's because the people have not woken up. An average Nigerian thinks he knows what democracy is. He only knows what democracy has become. He has no idea what democracy ought to be. Because if you want to know what democracy ought to be, you have to go to the books to study what this system of government has promised you from inception. Because what we've practiced in Nigeria is not democracy. Oh. So the average Nigerian does not know. He thinks he knows, but he does not know.
If it's not democracy, what do you call it?
This is pure rubbish. All the institutions are shambles. Nobody tells everybody is a gladiator, everybody is a master. Once the resources go this way, once we can stop receiving money now, he will practically be in limbo. If he wasn't a minister, this person would have not get that.
Okay, changing the narrative.
So the challenges is that the people must educate themselves. People must know that the office of the citizen is the highest office of the land. Until they recognize their place in democracy. Democracy is government of the people, not government of governor, not government of a speaker, not government of godfather. It's the people. When the people now see those rights to leaders and masters, because they exchange it for a plate of food, small bribe, small contract, all right, the democracy is bound to suffer.
Thank you, Shedra Kudugba. Big thanks to you, Sunday Daudu.